All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining this Monday. Apologies for not being or for not going live last Monday. I had some things going on, but we're back. So I want to thank everyone who's joining us today. So one of the things that we got asked a lot this past week was we got asked a lot about entrepreneurship and how to start a business, why you should start a business, and what are the pros and cons of doing so. And so I thought that that would be a pretty interesting topic to cover for today. So if this is your first time joining, my name is Alexander Florio. I'm one of the co-founders of Swob. What Swob is an award-winning recruitment platform designed to help employers in high turnover industries find local talent and to help those job seekers looking for employment help them find local opportunities that are available in their area with local employers that are hiring. We really wanted to make it easy on both sides, and that's one of the things that we're still working on doing today. And we're always making sure that we're creating new and innovative ways to make it easy on both sides. So I think today, like I mentioned, we want to talk a little bit about entrepreneurship and why you should maybe start a business or why you shouldn't, kind of the pros and cons, compare it, and talk about that. I mean, it's a beautiful day, so as you'll see, I'm sitting outside working. I definitely thought that it would be the nice little way to film a video working outside. Um, but yes, so to get back to the topic, and again, I know I always mention this in my videos, but I do encourage anyone who's watching this or any of our users or viewers, if you have any questions or if you have any topics that you would like to see us cover, please send them our way. Send us an email, send it to our info account. It's info@swabapp.com. For us, we love doing these types of things. We love trying to give back and add value to anyone who's looking. But if there is anything that you want to see covered, please let us know. We're happy to cover it. So I want to talk today a little bit again about the journey of Swob as well, and we'll sort of speak about entrepreneurship. So one of the reasons why we wanted to start Swob was we thought, you know, we want to make sure that this is something that's easy, something that's, applying to jobs shouldn't be difficult, and it shouldn't be difficult to hire either. And so, back when I think about when we started Swob, one of the reasons why I wanted to do so was I remember looking for job opportunities in the industry that I was working in. And I remember it being such a frustrating experience. And I thought, how can this be? There has to be an easier way to do this. And so I started thinking at the time, what if there was something that we could do to change this process, make it easier? And so we started speaking to people, we started having conversations with employers, and we realized that employers and job seekers are looking for something new and innovative. And these sort of old traditional job boards were not working, they weren't offering up any new or innovative solutions. And it was just becoming more difficult for people to apply to jobs, and it was becoming even more difficult for employers to find candidates. And so that's one of the reasons why we wanted to develop Swob. But before we launched, we didn't want to launch and just put out a product that we didn't think anybody would use. We wanted to make sure that we were creating something, especially on the employer side, something that was identifying something that would identify the problems and create solutions to those issues. And even with the job seekers, we spoke to over 5,000 students before we launched, and we found that the number one way on how students and young job seekers were applying to jobs was old school. They were printing out stacks of resumes, going into the malls, handing them out one by one, not even knowing who was hiring. And this was frustrating for a lot of the students that we spoke to because they felt like they were wasting all this time going into the mall, handing out their resumes when, they would never really hear back. And they felt like their resume was just getting lost in a pile. And same thing on the employer side. They felt as if they were getting bombarded with all these resumes that they didn't even know what to do with them all. So more often than not, those resumes were just getting tossed in a pile. And it was unfortunate because a lot of candidates and a lot of people missed out on opportunities because of that. And so that's when we thought we wanted to make it easy. We wanted to identify the pain points and create solutions to both sides, to both the employer and the job seeker, and make sure we're creating solutions to their problems. And so once we've done that, or once we did that, we launched Swob, and we've been growing ever since. but that's just our story, and I do want to talk about sort of some lessons and some tips that you'd learn from speaking with other entrepreneurs, because right now I know that it is a very, very popular thing, entrepreneurship, and a lot of, especially young people, want to get into entrepreneurship, and they want to start their own business. And it's great to see. And one of the things I always encourage young people whenever I meet with them or speak to an audience is, if you have an idea and you truly believe in it and you're going to work for it and you're going to be passionate and you're going to put in the time and you're going to be dedicated, then do it. And you might not always succeed, and that's okay. One of the things I always say, to people who ask me is, I would rather have started Swob and it didn't work out than not have started it at all and look back in 5-10 years from now or whatever it might be and look back and think, what could have been. I always encourage, take that leap of faith. If you're truly dedicated about something and you're truly going to put in an effort and realize that you're going to have to make sacrifices, then go for it. It's, there's always there's always things to be learned. And the best way to learn is to just kind of throw yourself into the fire and see what happens. Now, obviously not literally throw yourself into the fire, but it's just one of those things. You have to take a leap of faith, but if you believe in what you're doing, go for it. But so some of the things I want to talk about, and one of the things that I find interesting in entrepreneurship is, many people think they have to sort of start a business in categories to solve problems in areas that the founder has no experience in. Well, ignorance can be bliss, and ignorance is bliss. Oftentimes the ignorance these entrepreneurs have, and when I say this, I mean it in a good way, it allows them to build their businesses without kind of prejudices that an insider might have, or that they don't have that thought that it might not work out. They just kind of, they put in the work and they do it without even realizing kind of all of the noise in the background. So that's one of the biggest things is, you're going to always hear people that might discourage you or might kind of try to shift your focus or shift your approach. But, sometimes you kind of have to block that noise and just go for it and see what happens. Because if you have an idea, and if you believe in it, then go for it. Follow that idea, follow that passion that you have. And, a second thing that I hear a lot from young entrepreneurs or young people that want to become entrepreneurs is, they think success happens overnight. And I want to tell you that is definitely not the case. It takes so long for success to be found when you're starting a business. And, it's one of those things where you have to realize there's going to be sacrifices that you're going to have to make, and success does not happen overnight. So anyone who tells you that, they're lying. You have to be patient, and you need to work hard, and you need to realize that the reality for most entrepreneurs is, they don't get paid for the first few years of their business. And so you have to be prepared for that kind of a sacrifice. And, even another point, overnight success isn't always ideal. When a company experiences that kind of rare success that happens rather quickly, with that comes a unique set of problems. So like a product that must be manufactured must move quickly, and you have to sort of ramp up all your efforts to make sure that you can kind of keep up with that growth. So sometimes it's better to grow slowly than to just explode fast and then not know how to handle all of that success. So that's something where, a lot of people and a lot of entrepreneurs think they can handle that success rather quickly, and it can actually become a burden on you. So, I mean, again, it's not necessarily a race. You want to make sure that you're putting in the right time and right amount of work, obviously, but you also have to be sort of realistic and make sure you're managing your expectations where you can see steady growth rather than blow up really quickly and then have it all crash at the end. One other thing is, money. I know we've talked a lot about that right now, but money isn't always necessarily the problem. And sometimes actually having less money makes an entrepreneur and their team focus more on what's important in the end and what makes that company move forward. A safety net from investors, sort of reduces that urgency for getting it right. And it can create an environment of sort of frivolous spending. And that's the last thing you need, is to just be spending money like crazy. You want to make sure that you're keeping track on what you're doing, and that you're being responsible with how you're spending. So I got somebody saying hello to me. So I'll come and say hi in 1 second. I'm just on a call. Thanks, buddy. There you go. See what happens when you work outside and you do live streams. And then another point that I want to talk about is adversity. Adversity is so important. Without bumps on the road, an entrepreneur wouldn't be able to build a company to sustain. You need to embrace the new challenges that come your way, and you'll see that in the end, it actually makes your business and yourself as an entrepreneur stronger and help you actually reach that goal even quicker. Um, you know, this kind of goes next to the next point, like persistence. You need to be persistent. You need to make sure that you don't give up and you're not giving up. It's one of those things where, especially for entrepreneurs who are developing a physical product, uh, you just have to be able to sort of, keep going, because you're going to be rejected. You're going to hear no's from time to time, and you just have to keep moving forward, keep pushing, because you're going to see, like, yes, is it great when you finally have that person that says yes to you? Of course it is. But for every yes, there's often, many more people that are saying no to you. So you've got to be persistent and don't give up. And, one of the things I always say is, don't ever get too high when things are good, but don't ever get too low when things are bad. Stay even keel, and that will help you kind of stay balanced with what you're doing. And another thing too is very few plan for the end. Many people don't start a business and do it for the sole reason where they think, okay, and I'm going to have a big payday in the end. If that's your goal, if that's your attitude, it's personally, I don't think that that's the right approach. I think it's about the journey. It's never, again, starting a business is one of the hardest things you can do, and that's why majority of them end up failing, and it's unfortunate. But I always respect those people who take that leap of faith and who try something new. And so if your ultimate goal is to just build something and then sell it, where's the passion in that? It's really not something that is, it's not something that, it's it's difficult, right? Like it's one of those things where it's hard to talk about, because you want to obviously be successful, but you don't want to just start something for the ultimate goal of selling it. And yes, I understand that entrepreneurs want to make money and they want to sell their business in the end. But if that's your goal at the start, I think it's going to affect your productivity, and it will ultimately, it might have a negative effect on your business. And one other thing I definitely want to talk about is stop asking other people what they do. Everyone you meet has an interesting and meaningful story. But if you walk away from a conversation with a tip or a technique or a new lesson, for example, then that's great. But don't always ask what someone does. Rather find out what got them to where they are. Try and get that advice from them. Don't ask what they're doing. Find out how they got there, and you'll see you can learn from that even more, and that can ultimately help you grow your business and make it even more successful. So I think I'm going to cut the video now. We're at about 12, 13 minutes. I think this was a good time. I hope that this was beneficial for everyone here. I know that being outside, we had some things happen and pop up, but that's part of doing live streams outside. But I want to thank everyone for joining, and be sure to check this video out on our YouTube channel. And if you have any questions, be sure to send us an email.